Hello and welcome to this lesson on the fantastic old Morris tune, which is called the Cuckoo's Nest. This is the one from Sherborne in Gloucestershire, not the one from Ilmington. That's another tune that's sometimes used. My Morris side, which is Chelmsford Morris, that the men dance this Cotswold dance to it. And it's a really good tune. Andy Cutting has done a version of it on his album, which is a little different. I'm going to do the sort of fairly standard Morris version with the slows. If you don't understand what I mean by that, I will explain that in due course. Just to explain the key signature of this, it looks a bit strange. It looks like we're in either D major or B minor because we've got two sharps, F sharp and C sharp, but actually we are in E Dorian mode. So think of it as really being in the key of E minor, but it's got a C sharp as well as the F sharp. But instead of having to put an accidental on that C sharp, it's catered for in the key signature. If you're used to reading music, you might be forgiven for saying, oh well, we're in D major or B minor, simply by looking at the F sharp and the C sharp in the key signature. But in fact we're in neither. We are in E Dorian mode, where all the Fs are sharpened, as are the Cs. So basically think of it as E minor, but with the C sharpened as well as the F. We use this modal version of the key signature just so that it caters for all the notes properly without having to use accidentals. Everything is played on the D row of this D, G Melodeon, so it's pretty straightforward in that sense. This instrument is a third button start, which means to say that the third button down on the D row, if you push the bellows towards the closed position, is a D note, okay, and on the G row it's G. So third button start, so if you've got a third button start, you'll be the same as me. If you've got a fourth button start, you'll have to move down one for every button that I play. So we start in position home on the A part, which means to say that the first finger is going to go on the third button down. Our first note is actually G, which is the fourth button down on the pull. So this is the first bar, just played on the right hand. It's a fairly unusual bar because we have to stretch up for that last note of E. The first note is G on the pull, button below on the push gives us A, finger 3, come back to the G that we started on, play the same button and push in to get F sharp, and then come down to the root note of this tune, which is E, button 3 on this instrument on the pull. And the last note of the bar is E, an octave above that one we just played, and we have to stretch out of position to get to it. See, it's button 7 on this instrument. Might be button 8 for you if you've got a fourth button start. Right, the timing of that bar is 1 and 2 and 3, 4. That's 4 quavers and 2 crotchets. So that gives us that. Okay, pretty straightforward, I think. And notice there's a dagger underneath the F sharp note. That's because you can play the G and the F sharp just by pressing the bellows once, although if you prefer it, I always say this, you can repress the button. Let's have a look at the left hand now of that first bar. Now it's E bass, E minor chord, E bass, E minor chord. Very straightforward, top 2 buttons, inside row. I use finger 2 on button 2, finger 1 on button 1. So it's a fairly typical umpar, and on the 2 push notes of the right hand, make sure the bass is not ringing on because you'll get unwanted basses. It says crotchet equals 1, 4, 5. That's a metronome setting. I'm playing it fairly slowly while I'm teaching it to you, but I'll probably speed it up a bit towards the end of the lesson when I perform the tune for you. So here's our first bar. Remember to always try and keep the instrument square. I always say this these days, don't let the left hand droop down. Try and pull out square.